Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. And we want to talk matters exports right now with Peter Biwott. How can Kenya promote more exports out of the country? Thank you so much for having you on our studios today.
Thank you, Abby, for inviting me.
Where are we at when you look at the export industry?
Actually, we are not doing badly. I think last year, just like the other year, the Kenya exports actually had an upward trend. The other year we exported products worth around 594 billion, but now we are at about 615 billion. But what we are looking at is to scale up the growth of our exports, and what we have done is that the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives launched an export development and promotion strategy,
yes,
which seeks to grow our exports by about 25%, because really the objective is to bridge the gap, because currently the gap is about 1.15 trillion Kenya shillings.
Quite a huge sum there.
Yeah, it's a huge sum. And this is what we are currently working on. And I think, the Big Four agenda, having come and prioritizing manufacturing and the food security, is one of the ways to enhance, Kenya's exports across the world, and focusing at Africa as our primary, market, because in trade, the nearer you are to a country, and it is expected that the more the trade. And that is why, as a country, we are focusing on enhancing our sales, especially of value-added products, to the African continent.
All right. And speaking about adding value, as a country, we have not performed pretty well when you look at the level of value addition we are doing to our raw materials. When you look at agro-processing, we are still struggling. As an agency tasked with promoting exports out of Kenya, how would you assess where we are today, especially when it comes to promoting small businesses that have an interest in having their goods exported to other countries?
Thank you, Abby. I think the question of exportation of primary products is not something peculiar to Kenya. It is something that affects most African countries, or most colonies, those countries which are colonies in the past. It speaks to economic history of these countries. And definitely, if you look at what other countries have done, when you export value-added or manufactured products, that is how you gain more income, or you gain more revenue. And that is why the country actually came up with the Vision 2030, and now we are looking at the Big Four agenda, which is looking at expanding manufacturing in Kenya up to 15% share of the gross domestic product. The reason is the country realizes the need to ensure that we enhance exportation of manufactured or value-added products, because this is how foreign exchange can actually be multiplied. Because looking at all countries that have transitioned from, low income to high income, none of those countries has actually shifted because of exportation of raw materials. And that is why one of the biggest objectives of government is to add value, to encourage more Kenyans to enter into a business of value addition. You might not automatically enter manufacturing. We are looking at, attracting more investors, and also the large companies in Kenya, because we have Kenyan-owned large companies who are diversifying into other products. But for small, medium enterprises, there are programs which we are setting up to see that many Kenyans are actually encouraged to do even value addition, because value addition means, growing products, for example, in a greenhouse, which enhances productivity, is part of value addition, packaging, branding, so that we begin at that level as we encourage more to enter into more sophisticated value addition and manufacturing. And that is the way to a higher progress for our country.
All right.
And I think that those were the premises of why the country sat down and said, okay, to fast track achievement of the Vision 2030, there is the Big Four agenda, focusing on manufacturing and food security as well, among other targets of government.
And one of the big conversations right now, when you speak to majority of Kenyans, they feel that the government has opened up its doors to different countries to dump their goods in Kenya. We are recently seeing a very heightened invasion, if I would call that, by Chinese. China is really one of the major trading partners with Kenya. And of course, the president has been very categorical, saying that they are looking at strategic partnerships. For instance, the partnership to export avocados to Mauritius and such like initiatives. Why are we making Kenya to be a dumping ground?
I don't think that is true, Abi. We are in a world of market economics or market economy. Mm-hmm. Kenya since 1991 or 1990s embraced the concept of market economy. And the only way we can be able to deal with increasing trade balance is mm-hmm. by encouraging investment locally. Okay. What we just need to do is to ensure that many Kenyans actually venture into productive sectors, mm-hmm. produce products that are able to be exported, mm-hmm. and then we can be able to deal with some of these challenges. There's a concept called import substitution.
Yes.
For me, I would not like to talk about that way, but I would like to look at it as export promotion, so that intelligently and tactfully we produce those products that there are those products we can produce in our country. We focus on those ones, uh-huh. and we see how we can increase quantities for local consumption as well as for exportation.
All right.
So for me, the way I look at it, and this is the message I want to pass to Kenyans, is that it is upon us to change that paradigm. China continues to remain as an opportunity for us, looking at other aspects, because we gain a lot of technology. They are doing our standard gauge railway. There are a lot of lessons we can actually learn from China. Mm-hmm. One of them is policy consistency. They came up and they said they want to do industrialization. They want to influence the world towards their thinking, and that's why they are doing one road, one belt, and they're influencing the world. So what we need to do as a country as well, and I think that has begun, looking at what we have done for the achievement of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. Mm. I mean, Intra-Africa Trade, Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
Okay.
Because what Kenya did, we were the first one to sign mm-hmm. and ratify, mm-hmm. and we've been able to influence African countries to come up, and now we have realized 22. And coming up with an Africa Continental Free Trade Area will rid Africa of what economists call the spaghetti bowl. Mm. Because if you have COMESA, ESC, you have ECOWAS and others, it looks like spaghetti in your bowl. So once we have one market of 1.4 billion people, then Kenya will be able to realize the Big Four agenda of manufacturing.
All right.
And that's the skill I think the country has been able to put forward, and we want to say congratulations to our government, mm-hmm. as well as the private sector who are playing a very critical role. What we just need to know now is to invest in terms of exporting our services. As we speak, Equity Bank has opened branches in various African countries.
Unfortunately, we're out of time,
as well.
But quite an interesting discussion, and of course we may need more time in future for such conversations.
I do agree, Abby, and thank you very much for having me.
All right. We've been speaking there to Peter Biwott, the CEO for the Export Promotion Council, just trying to give us some sense of where we are as a country from an export standpoint. He is of the view that we are making some progress despite the negative sentiment around where we are. Well, we want to bring the show to a close, and I just want to request my producer to take our last story for this afternoon. That is Adventure Diaries, which we leave you with Adventure Diaries for today. Well, of course, we'll get a dose of the Adventure Diaries in our 9 p.m. broadcasts. We do apologize, we ran out of time, but make a date with us exactly at 9:30 p.m. My name is Abi Agina. Thank you for your valid company. Keep it locked on KTN News, where you get the whole story.